Hey, what's going on, guys? Another knife to review today. We're looking at a Smith & Wesson folder. Again, due to popular demand, people want me to review a couple of the more affordable knives out there. Not everyone has a couple $100 to throw at a folder or a fixed blade or something of that nature. So just want to do a couple reviews on some more affordable stuff that I've been using. This one is the Smith & Wesson SWBLOP3. The BLOP3. BLOP doesn't mean anything. I mean, of course, the individual letters and numbers in all these models represent something, but BLOP as a word is not the name of the knife or anything. It just happens to spell something out. Anyway, this has the Magic Assist on it. This thing, again, is... This whole knife itself is extremely similar to the SCH A7GR that I reviewed, okay? Basically, it's that knife, but under the Smith & Wesson name, all right? Different look overall, slightly different blade. Of course, there's a bunch of different color variations on this as well. It comes in red and blue and all kinds of stuff. Different handle shape altogether. But as far as the quality, the materials, the mechanisms, the safety, everything else, it's identical. So if you saw the SCH A7GR review, refer to that as far as performance on this blade, okay? It's got the same 4034 stainless steel, almost identical sizes, 3.4 inches on this blade, 4.3 inch handle, okay? This has full aluminum handles with stainless liners. All right, you can see that is an open frame design. 7.7 inches overall and 4.8 ounces, okay? So it's slightly chunky, definitely a little bit heavier than a lot of different folders of its size. It is a liner lock, there's no blade plate at all. But yeah, almost identical to that other model. In fact, I'm gonna put a link in the description box for you guys to click on. It'll be the first link, and it'll be right to that review, because if you really want more information about the performance, you can get it from that review. They're identical knives. I used both of them about the same. I did use the Schrade a little bit more than I used this Smith & Wesson, but like I said, they're identical in every way. If you haven't seen that review, however, there is a safety on the side here, okay? Because this is assisted, you might want to lock that when it's in the pocket, all right? Just flip that down to release the safety on it. This has that same secondary piece, okay? Basically, this is nudging the blade out, which catches the spring mechanism inside and shoots it out. This is the closest thing to having an automatic knife that anyone's ever gonna get to. A lot of people have automatic knives. You're allowed to own a lot of things a lot of places, but you just can't carry them. So sometimes people get a little bit confused as to like, oh, I can't have an automatic knife here because I live in such and such state. You can, you just can't carry it around in most situations. But anyway, if you want to get that automatic feel and still have a legal folder pretty much everywhere you go, in America anyway, it's hard to beat this, all right? I don't know if I mentioned this in the other review, but that little tab, it doesn't fold into the frame because it's wider than the frame. But what it does is it actually acts like a thumb stop or thumb rest, okay? So once this knife is opened, you see it will wiggle back and forth a little bit, but if you push it forward, it has nowhere else to go, and there's good knurling on here. This actually facilitates your grip very nicely. Your hand will not ride up with this. There's a little bit of a slight finger choil, but this is basically what's keeping your hand from going forward if you're holding it in this grip. I find it to be a little bit of a hindrance if you're reaching over top of it, okay, because then it's just a knob that's kind of in the way. If you grip up like this or choke up on the knife and put your thumb on that aggressive jimping that's there, that does work, you can see it kind of rests in an open void in your hand. Your finger's not touching it, but if you're putting your hand like right here, yeah, of course it's uncomfortable, it's digging into your finger. So it's really gonna just depend on how you're using your knife, how you're gonna grip it. In most situations, it is out of the way. Again, you can see in this particular case, it's not touching my hand in any way. Never really had any hot spots using it, so it's not really an issue to me, but I did find that I liked that it did work like a thumb stop, okay, or a guard. So very cool in that respect. The 4034 stainless, again, refer to the other video for more information. It's decent. I mean, this is a $30 to $35 knife, excuse me. So you can't expect the world for that. Yes, there's a good competing knives in the market, but all these knives are different. They all offer something. The 4034 I think is totally fine though for this. There is a fuller cut into there, okay, which kind of adds to the look of it. This seems a little bit more tactical, being again the Smith & Wesson, wow, tongue-tied today. The Smith & Wesson version of this knife as opposed to the Schrade. This will be a little bit more tactical looking, I guess, for some people. The liner lock is totally fine. It's nice and strong, okay? These thin liner locks on the cheaper or more affordable knives, a lot of people question their integrity. A lot of people have personal issues with them. Honestly, I've never had anything fail from Smith & Wesson or Schrade or other, companies that are putting out sub $30 knives, all right? So, although I've never had it fail, doesn't mean it can't fail. But don't forget, this lock is keeping this blade from folding in. So you need a tremendous amount of force on the spine of your knife. If you're going to cut into something and then maybe drawing backwards, you hit into something. I mean, how often are you really putting pressure on the spine of your blade? As I mentioned this many times before, slip joints work fantastic. They've worked for hundreds of years and they lack a lock. That is a folding knife with no lock. So having a cheap lock or a thin lock is still better than that. But anyway, to each their own, and that's totally cool. Everyone has their preference. I want to talk a little bit about this handle here. Very, very interesting look. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought it had kind of a spider web motif with the veins coming here and then kind of crossways. But the more I look at it, it looks like a fresh satin sheets, that were kind of waved over some kind of a metal frame. It has a very fluent, like liquid look to it. Very cool, facilitates no grip. All right, so very cool looking. Totally aesthetic, 100%. There's no grip from this knife whatsoever. Again, aluminum, smooth aluminum, although a little, raised. Smooth aluminum scales. All right, so this does lack grip if you're using your knives in very wet conditions, or let's say you're hunting, and you're dealing with blood and guts and stuff like that. Not the best choice. You want something with a little bit more grip so you don't cut yourself or fudge up the cut that you're trying to make in that particular case. But anyway, there is a little bit of jimping on the frame here, okay, and the reverse grip, you can of course use that. It is in the liner, but it does raise up just a little bit, okay, so in reverse grip, if you are using it, it is functional. These knives, the $30 to $35 price tag on this, how I would use this knife, or how I recommend you would use this knife, or why you would buy this knife. If you're just adding to your collection, you want something cool looking, that's totally a good excuse to buy any knife, whether it's $5 or $5,000. But if you're using a knife for light duty EDC, you're not relying on your knife for work, okay, for your profession. This is totally fine, cutting open your mail, cutting boxes, stuff like that. You can do a lot of things with this knife. Is it going to, exceed other knives in its price range? It will some, and it'll fall behind many others. Quick note on this, like I said, it is a open design, so you have some pillars here, right? So it won't trap lint and dust and stuff as much in your pocket, but do still clean them out all the time when you can. You can take the knife completely apart if you wanted to examine the internals and see how that system works, and we might do that in a future video. There is a nice lanyard hole on here if that's something that you use. As the same as the other one, the Schrade model, you can put that safety back on in the open position. That will prevent the liner, the liner will move over, but it'll prevent the blade from coming completely unlocked. All right, so that safety does work as a secondary safety, so pretty interesting. Overall, why would you get this knife? If you wanted something cool to add to your collection, if you wanted to play around with that mechanism, if you wanted to, have the experience of an automatic knife, legally, this would be the good reasons to get this knife. Is it going to be the best knife for $30, $35? No, definitely not. Is it a horrible knife for $30, $35? No, not at all. Somewhere in between there. But I like it. I think it's cool. I just like the mechanism quite a bit. I actually prefer the SDH A7GR design overall over this one. But like I said, internally, performance, all that stuff is completely identical. This is just a different packaging. Okay, imagine, having two sports cars and there's two different, they have the same motor, the same brakes, the same frame, the same tires, same everything, except, I don't know, one's convertible and one's a hardtop. It's just two different looks for the same performance. All right, so you pick whatever one you like more. But anyway, that's my review of the SWBLOP3. Interesting knife, and just that magic assist is very, very fun to play with. Like I said, I have very expensive knives hanging around on occasion, usually on loan, and they're sitting on my desk next to this $30 knife, and I picked this one up to play with it because it's that much fun. So that's the selling point for me on this one. So anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching the review. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Take care.